want to talk a little bit today about separating the waist from the hips. How do we get the Dan Tian able to move without twisting the whole hip structure and twisting the knees? When we do our Dan Tian circles, our roll back, anything that we want the Dan Tian to be separated from the hips, an example would be if I'm doing a silk reeling, when I shift and turn, notice this hip, this thigh doesn't move, only the Dan Tian move. And I can circle, bring it around, I can shift the weight. The knees will go forward and back in the direction of the feet, but not falling inside or not turning the whole hip structure and jeopardizing the knees. Same thing if I'm doing my Dan Tian circles here, which is one of our training techniques, being able to turn the stomach without turning the hips as much. So I can turn the top part, circle, sinking in the legs. So how do we get that? How do we do that? Silk reeling. How do we have that ability? So let me show you a stretch that really helps with that. One way is we interlock fingers, and we do this in our warm-up in class, and we stretch up, and I'm going to turn the top part of my body and try to keep the hips forward. So you can see there's a slight turning here, and I come back. So the hips will move a little bit, but there'll be more movement in the top of the body. And look behind and come back. So I physically need to rotate the hips in the opposite direction of the waist in order to keep the hips still. Try it, try it for yourself. Come up and try to turn the top part of the body and rotate the hips in the opposite direction. So I'm able to come here, turn, and come back. Without that, this is what would happen. Everything would turn together. And so that doesn't free the Dan Tian. That doesn't allow the Dan Tian to be able to move without the hips moving. Okay? And that's going to be important no matter what style you're doing. If you're doing the Yang style with us, or a Yang style, or if you're doing the Chin style with us, it's going to be very important. So even if I'm going into do my roll back, when I go to roll back, I need to keep the hips primarily forward, turn the Dan Tian. That's going to keep my root. And I can press from there. Otherwise, I'll turn everything together, and you see how that knee falls inside. We don't want that to happen. So doing the stretch that way will start to show you how to separate the waist from the hips. Another exercise that we do is we do swing arms. Some people call it banging the heavenly gong. I believe that's the term. I like that term. Right now I can't think of it. But we want to swing the arms and shift, use the legs. But notice there's a little bit of separation of the waist from the hips here. So I'm not just turning everything. Actually, in some cases you can turn a little bit more to stretch different things. But if I keep the hips still and turn the waist, there's a nice stretch in the muscles along the spine. You can hit different acupoints here. You can hit the kidneys in the back, that Mingmen area, and then this hand can come up and hit lung 1, lung 2 area, to stimulate the lungs and the kidneys. So if you do this, just make sure you're not forcing it, using hand power. Let the legs and twisting of the waist generate that power. So notice I push out of the ground, let it travel through, and then I just aim the hands where I want them to go. Okay, it's a little different from turning everything and using arm power or letting the arms be separated from the waist. This is separated. This is using the legs, using the waist, and turning the hips very minimally. Good. So doing these kind of things, those stretches, learning to do that with the swing arms without turning the whole hips and the waist as one structure, learning to circle the Dan Tian. They'll teach you how to be able to open and close the quad on different sides. And that's gonna come in handy with the last video that I put out on Patreon on how to generate tremendous amounts of power. I shared a technique there, but in order to do that technique, you don't want the knees twisting around. So you gotta have this down first. You gotta be able to circle the Dan Tian without turning the waist and buckling the knees. Otherwise, it's just gonna hurt yourself. So look for that technique on Patreon. If you're not a subscriber or a supporter of that channel, go ahead and support us there. And I'm sharing a lot of the techniques that I learned over the years that helped me to generate power, training methods, different things for practical martial arts. So, all right, thanks for watching the video. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you're doing well during these times. Be safe, be well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.